Hello, friends. Welcome to the Bright Morning Podcast. I'm your host, Elena Aguilar. And in each podcast episode, you'll hear me demonstrate how you can lead conversations that build connection and spark change. Have you ever realized that when you're at your most tired or stressed, that it feels like your closest relationships end up seeing those temperamental sides of you? Now, there is something about feeling safe and certain with people that allows us to be fully human, even when that's not our best self. And while having these authentic spaces is valuable, most of us also want to nurture our important relationships with more thoughtful communication whenever possible. And that is exactly what our summer series will equip you to do. So, between now and the end of July, I'll be sharing powerful coaching techniques that can transform all of your conversations. And while the examples will focus on personal relationships, which are perfect for summer when family dynamics are often front and center, you'll find that these approaches work equally well in your professional life. And this is what makes these skills so special. They are simultaneously tools for personal growth and professional excellence. So each episode will introduce one specific coaching move, and I'll unpack why it's effective, and then we'll walk through practical applications. Now, before we jump in, I have an exciting announcement to make, which is that this episode and all of my episodes going forward are now available as video podcasts on YouTube. And you can find a link to my channel and to this episode in the show notes. Okay, let's jump in. So today's coaching move is one that has transformed my own approach to relationships, which is coach the person, not the problem. And this means that in any conversation, your focus stays on the human in front of you, not fixing whatever issue they're dealing with. So just think about how often our conversations revolve around solving problems. Your kid is struggling with a friendship, or your partner is frustrated at work, or your parent is having difficulty with technology. And then the instinct is to jump straight to solutions. Here's what you should do. Or why don't you try this? But when we focus exclusively on fixing problems, we miss something crucial, which is the person who is experiencing the problem. We miss the opportunity to help them develop their own problem-solving muscles and their confidence and their resilience, or even to just realize that what they want is to connect with us so that they're not alone as they navigate a challenge. So what does it mean to coach the person, not the problem? It means recognizing that people are not problems to be fixed. They are complex, capable humans with their own wisdom, agency, and growth trajectory. So when we coach the person, we are interested in how they are making meaning of their situation, what strengths they're bringing to it, what they're learning through it, and how they might grow from it. We're focused on their development rather than just making their problem disappear. And that doesn't mean that we don't care about resolving issues, because of course we do. But we approach resolution through the person's development, not at the expense of it. Okay, so why does this work? So first, when someone feels like they are seen as a whole person rather than just as someone with a problem, they feel valued and respected. And that builds trust and openness. Now, second, when we focus on the person, we tap into their intrinsic motivation. So, external solutions might work temporarily, but internally generated insights are what lead to lasting change. Okay, third, coaching the person builds capacity. Every time someone works through a challenge with support rather than rescue, they strengthen their ability to handle future challenges. That just makes sense. We know that. Okay, finally, this approach honors the relationship. When we rush in to fix problems, it's kind of like we're saying, I don't think you can handle this. But when we coach the person, we are kind of saying, I believe in you and I'm here to support you as you figure this out. So I really learned the power of this approach with my own son when he was in middle school and he really struggled with organization. I'd open up his backpack and it was just a disaster full of all kinds of everything. And he often forgot assignments. He would do assignments and forget to turn them in. His grades were suffering. And my first instinct, to be honest, was just to try to fix the problem. And so I researched organizational systems and I created schedules and I bought supplies for him. And none of it stuck because I was focused on the problem, which I perceived as being organization, not on understanding my kid as a person and learning about how he thought about organization and what systems made sense to his brain and what motivated him to stay organized. So when I shifted from trying to fix his organizational problems to coaching him, everything changed. I asked questions about when he felt most successful. I asked about what got in his way. I asked him what he thought might help. And I learned that traditional organizational systems, the kinds that worked for me, did not work for his creative mind. But what did work were visual cues and technology reminders. But I would say most importantly was that by coaching him, rather than trying to fix him, he developed his own system that he could take ownership of and then maintain. So let me demonstrate what coaching the person, not the problem, might sound like in everyday conversations. Okay, let's say that your partner comes home frustrated about a colleague who keeps taking credit for their work. So if you're focused on the problem, then the conversation might go like this. You should document everything you do and copy your boss on all your emails. Why don't you confront him directly? Tell him to stop doing that. Maybe you should just look for another job if your work isn't being recognized. Okay, do you notice how each of those responses jumps straight to solving the issue without actually engaging your partner with how they are experiencing the situation or even what they just might need in that moment? So here's that same conversation and how it might sound if you are coaching the person. It sounds really frustrating. How are you feeling about the situation? What do you think could be driving your colleague's behavior? What do you think a good outcome might look like? So those questions focus on your partner's experience and insights and capabilities And those questions communicate trust in your partner's ability to navigate the situation while still offering support. So let's try another example. Imagine your teenager is stressed about college applications. A problem focused approach might sound like this. You need to start on those applications this weekend. Let's make a schedule. You should apply to these safety schools just in case. Don't worry about it so much. What's meant to be will be. All right, so those responses aim to fix or even dismiss the problem, but they don't engage with your teenager as a unique individual facing a significant milestone. And so a person focused approach could sound like this. This is a big process. What feels most overwhelming right now? What could help you feel more confident about these applications? How can I support you through this process while still respecting that this is your process, this is your journey? Okay, those questions acknowledge the challenge while focusing on your teen's experience and values and agency. And they create space for your teenager to develop their own approach to the college process with your support. So let's look at another example with a friend. So imagine your friend is sharing that they are stuck in their career and they're uncertain about what direction to take next. A problem-focused approach might sound like this. Have you thought about getting a certification? That would open more doors. Oh, my cousin works in that industry. I'm going to connect the two of you. Maybe they have some ideas. Okay, those responses might be well-intentioned, but they also bypass your friend's experience and they jump straight to fixing the career situation based on your own perspective. So a problem-solving approach would sound more like this. Ugh, I get it. Feeling stuck can be so challenging. What aspects of your current work still energize you? When you imagine a workday that feels fulfilling, what elements are present? What have you learned about yourself through this career so far? How could I best support you as you navigate this crossroads? So these questions help your friend reflect on their own values, their interests, their aspirations, rather than just solving the immediate feeling of being stuck. And they communicate that you trust your friend's ability to find their own path with your support. So as you practice coaching the person rather than the problem, here are a few tips. First, get curious before offering suggestions. Ask at least 2 questions before sharing any advice, and make sure that those questions focus on the person, not just the details of the problem. Second, look for growth opportunities. In any challenge, there's potential for learning and development. So ask questions like, what might you learn from this? Or how might this experience help you grow? Third, acknowledge emotions before moving to solutions. Simple statements like, that sounds really frustrating, or I can see why you'd feel anxious about that. Help someone feel seen and understood. And finally, remember that sometimes people just need to be heard. Not every problem needs an immediate solution. Sometimes the most supportive thing you can do is listen attentively. You might face some challenges as you practice this in your personal life, and it definitely can feel hard to resist the urge to fix, especially when you see someone you love struggling. But remember that offering solutions might feel helpful in that moment, but if you are fostering their development, that'll be helpful for the whole life. You might find that some people in your life expect you to solve their problems, especially if that has been the pattern of your relationship. And if that's the case, then just be patient as you shift the dynamic. And you might even say something explicitly like, I'm trying to be supportive by asking questions rather than jumping to solutions. Is that okay with you? All right. My challenge for you this week is to practice coaching the person, not the problem, in 3 different conversations. So when someone brings you a challenge, focus on understanding them rather than trying to immediately solve their issue. Ask questions about their experience, their strengths, and their ideas before offering any suggestions. And then really pay attention to how these conversations might feel different than a problem-solving interaction. Do these conversations last longer? Do they feel deeper, or do you feel like there's more connection? Do they lead to different kinds of solutions? Keep track of what you observe, and remember that this skill, like any other, gets stronger as you practice it. Okay, I hope this is also a reminder that transformational coaching isn't about having all the answers. It's about helping other people discover or remember their own wisdom and capacity. When we coach the person, not the problem, we honor the full humanity of those we love, and we create space for authentic growth and connection. Thanks for watching. If this video sparked something for you, then please give it a like and share it with someone you would like to have more meaningful conversations with. We'd also love to hear your thoughts or questions, and you are welcome to drop those in the comments. If you want to go deeper, then explore the linked resources below to keep learning. And also, don't forget that this episode is part of our weekly podcast. So subscribe so that you don't miss future episodes. We're here to support you in becoming the most empowered and impactful version of yourself. See you next time. I'm going to stop here today, but if you want more of me telling you exactly what to do in common coaching and life scenarios, you're definitely going to want to check out the show notes to learn more about my learning library and Transformational Coaching PLC, which is your go-to resource for transforming ordinary conversations into transformative ones. If you want to bring some of the ease of summer into your work this fall, you're going to want to join me over there. And if you love the show and want to watch me record every episode, you're in luck because the podcast is now on YouTube. So check out the show notes for a link to this episode in video form and subscribe to our channel. And finally, if you appreciated this episode today, would you share it with someone you know might benefit from it? Or you could hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and a review so that other people can discover it. Thank you so much for helping our show reach new friends. And Leslie Bickford is the podcast producer, and Stacy Goodman does the sound engineering. And until next time, may your conversations be curious, connective, and centered on the amazing people in your life. Be well, everyone.